Hi, I'm Sheila Layton. Welcome to the Beyond Coincidence Show, where every moment holds a miracle and we talk about seeing the hand of God in our lives. Call it a God wink or a tender mercy or whatever you want. Everyone on this show has seen the hand of God or their higher power in their lives in a very real and personal way. Hey everybody, welcome to the Beyond Coincidence Show. I have a very special guest with me today. She is an amazing lady, and I met Louise over 5 years ago, and I fell in love with her and her foundation. Her determination, courage, love for people, and trust in God is like none I have ever seen before. Louise was born in southern Alberta and has lived there almost all of her life. She came from a family of 8 children, and she and her husband Jack have 8 children. They have 34 grandchildren who bless their lives immensely. She was sort of a stay-at-home mom. At the age of 24, she discovered network marketing and was blessed to work from home all her life. From that, she gathered so many wonderful friends and gained so much experience in interacting with people. In 2006, she earned a trip to the Dominican Republic from a company that she was working with. Little did she know how that would change her life forever. She loved the beautiful resort where they stayed and purchased a vacation package. As she started returning for holidays, she and Jack quickly saw the great disparity between where they stayed and the desperate conditions outside of the resort. Helping there became their passion. With friends and family, they created Dominican Starfish Foundation, and for the past 13 years, she has volunteered more than full-time hours, I can tell you this because I know, to help the impoverished people of that beautiful country. Her brother-in-law, Art, lovingly calls her a professional beggar. Louise knows this is a term of endearment and has realized this is truly a gift that she possesses. And it sure has come in handy these past 13 years. She has raised over millions of dollars, not just over a million, millions of dollars to move her foundation forward and help the extremely impoverished people of the Dominican Republic. She has been part of blessing many lives, including her own. She continuously looks for the hand of God in her experiences and gives him credit for the success her foundation has had in helping others. So, Louise, tell me a little bit about what your days look like as the director of a foundation, a grandmother of 34, and all those things that you are doing for good.
Well, the foundation is always on my mind, as are my family, but I usually get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning and start figuring out ways to make to be my job as a professional beggar, I guess, if you want to say that, but to try to raise money to have all different kinds of projects happening to help people there. And I spend a lot of time doing that.
I know you do. Because on a personal note, I started working with the foundation. And so I know how much love and heart and soul Louise puts into this at the expense of her own health often. And it truly has blessed my life to be part of this foundation. So, Louise, let's go back. Tell me about what life was like for you growing up in southern Alberta. Did religion play a part in your life? And if so, what did that look like?
Well, I was born into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have 4 generations, no, 4 sides of my family that belong to that church. So it's really a pioneer family. And so it was very important in my life. I was thinking just today about when I was 12 years old, and we had a program called Honor Badges in our youth. And we had 80 of these honor badges that we could choose from to do. And we were supposed to do 5 each year for 2 years when we were 12 and 13. Well, I somehow got the idea that I was going to do all 80 of them. And I was a little overachiever then too, maybe. And my parents were so supportive. And I did that. And in fact, I was the first one in the church that did that. And some of the directors from Utah came up to honor me and in some meetings. But I think that changed my life. I think that right there changed my life. But one of the honor badges I did, I have them all still. You had to write about each one and have your mother sign it, and someone on a local level and a more regional level sign it. And I kept them all. And one of them says that when I grow up, that I want to do humanitarian work in Africa. The assignment was to read books, and I read books by Albert Schweitzer and Joan of Arc and about different people. And
And,
so
and so you
that
were what,
never
like
happened.
13 years old then?
Yeah.
Wow. So you were
So
destined for this, weren't you?
I guess so. I never found Africa, but I found my Africa in a different country.
You did. Yes, you for sure did. So, so did you remained active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through your teen years and sort of didn't waver in that, did you?
No, I did not.
No.
I stayed active for my whole life.
Yeah.
So it's been a part of my life forever.
So how would you say, how did you develop your relationship with God as you were growing up? Questions, answers to prayer. How did you develop that relationship?
Well, I always prayed, and I had great parents that helped me follow that. But I just think those 2 years as a young girl doing all those projects, I think that made a difference for me. I always looked to the Lord with prayer, and so I found good friends too that helped support me in that. And I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Um, and so I know that you didn't go to university because you wanted to be a mom and you got married.
Well,
And
that's wrong. I did go to
oh, did
university.
you go? I did not know that. Well, tell me, I did not know that you went to university.
I skipped a grade in school. So I went to university when I was 17 years old.
Oh,
And I was majoring in music. And it was there that I met my husband the first day of university,
oh, and where was
and
that?
in Lethbridge. So
Okay.
I met him at the Institute the first day. And so we dated that year, and we got married in May the following year. And then I chose to stay home and be a mom. And I was a mom pretty fast after that. So
But you did use music, right? I mean, did you not teach piano and voice
absolutely.
lessons?
Absolutely. I taught piano lessons, voice lessons. I put my children in the music festival. Many of them are using music in their life now. It was a legacy that was left for me. I can tell you this, that my parents had a grand piano before we had electricity.
Wow.
Yeah, and running water.
And so did both of your parents play the piano?
Neither one of them did.
Really?
Yeah, my father played the violin. But when I was only 5, I started taking piano lessons from my uncle, and we didn't have a piano. And I practiced on a cardboard keyboard. And from that, he discovered that I had perfect pitch, and he
Now
really,
explain to everyone what that is, Louise, because I'm not 100% sure I know what perfect pitch is.
well, one thing that you can do is you can hear a note played on the piano, and you know what note that is.
Wow.
And
And can you
um,
sing that note as soon as somebody plays it? You can hit that note with your voice?
yes, yeah. But anyway, so my parents were amazing. And that was a true legacy that they left my family. And I feel like that I've left for my children and grandchildren when you see them growing and being in theater and learning like they are. I love it.
And you
So,
wrote music as well that your kids sang,
yes,
right?
I had some published as well. Yes.
Yes, so you are a very talented lady. Not only a professional baker, but you are a very talented lady in music and all those things. So that's amazing. That's amazing, Louise. I think you're fantastic. So, okay, so I know that there is an experience of where you have seen the hand of God in the details of your life that you would like to share. So I'm just going to let you talk and give details so that people can see where God's hand was moving and all of that. And I'll just let you tell your story.
Oh, Sheila. There are so many experiences. I had a hard time even trying to narrow one down because my whole life is filled with experiences where I see the hand of God. So 12 years ago, I started writing a miracle journal. It's called a miracle journal. And every day I write in it where I see the hand of God. And so being part of this foundation and helping people in the Dominican Republic, I see that all the time. So much so that I wrote a book and it's called Defining Moments.
Oh, hang on. For those that are watching, it's gonna be backwards, but I have the book and you need to get it because
It's
all
not
the posters.
backwards. No,
Oh, isn't
it
it?
shows.
Oh, okay,
No.
perfect.
Anyway,
So there's the book. It's called Defining
so
Moments, and in it, I can
um,
tell you, it's fantastic.
and that was not a coincidence either, the writing the book. And I was going to talk about that today. And you suggested something earlier, and I thought, oh, that's a perfect thing to talk about. So I had to make the hard choice about which I would talk about.
Well, you can,
So,
I mean, we have time. You can share both if you want.
so as we started working in the Dominican Republic, mostly we started building houses, and that is a defining moment. That's a story in itself, how that started. And we built house after house after house, not expecting to ever do that. But in our foundation, we have 5 different arms of the starfish, and that's shelter, food and clothing, education, employment, and health and wellness. And so in 2019, we were talking about how we could expand because we do so much with shelter, which is so important, so important. And we started talking about expanding our education arm of our foundation. And we had a little education committee, and we met here at my home in July. There was just 3 of us that met that day. It was Karen Witowicz and Royce Woodruff and myself. And while we were sitting in that meeting, we were talking about Kate, and she is somebody who else will be on your show, I'm sure, at some time, but she is an amazing woman that's very young, and she went to the Dominican when she was very young and started a school, and that's a whole miraculous story in
And
itself.
we all just love Kate. We love her
And
so
we
much.
do.
Yes,
So
she
we were
will be on
talking
my
about,
show.
yes, excuse me. So we were talking about helping her, and I got the idea, and it was not a coincidence. I got the idea that night to invite her to Canada to come, and she's originally from Canada, from Quebec, but invite her to Canada, and we would do a gala evening and raise some money to help her in her school. And that's when we started the sponsorship program, where people can sponsor a child for $40 a month to help in the school. And we combined that with our gala. By the end of that evening, we had about 50 children that were sponsored to be able to go to school. And Sheila was there. She knows how amazing it was.
It
And we
was.
raised money for a school bus.
It was a
And
miracle. That was a miracle.
that was a miracle in itself. And we raised money for a school bus, and we raised money for different things in the school, but we had $10,000 at the end of the evening. And I got up, and I don't know why I did this, because I hadn't talked to my board of directors, I hadn't talked to anyone. And I said, in 2020, I announced to Kate that we would be starting to raise funds to build her a new school, because she was teaching in such a cramped place. It was so difficult, like 150 kids in just a tiny, tiny space with no outdoors. And so I made that announcement. And then after, I was like choking, thinking it's going to cost $300,000 to do that, at least. And where are we going to get the money? But I know that that was not a coincidence that I announced that either. And so I went to the Dominican Republic in January to March, as I always do, and host several groups. And I think you were part of one of those groups, perhaps. Maybe
And
not
this was
2020.
January to March of 2020, just before
Yes.
COVID, right?
So I had 10 different groups come, And I took all 10 to the school and told them our dream and what we wanted to do. And one of them, the times was a Valentine party, and I took several people that I'd met on the resort, and I just kept taking people to the school. But my real goal was, before I went home, I wanted to have a piece of land to build the school. And I knew it was going to be about 80,000 US dollars because we had searched a lot. So for a piece of land big enough to build a school, it was going to be 80,000. And
Yeah, because
I,
people think that land is cheap in the Dominican, but it is not.
it is not.
Yeah, people are like, well, it'd be $10,000. No, 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 no. Land is very expensive. I think people need to recognize that too, because it really is expensive.
So my friend Amaryllis, who you'll probably have on this show too, who is the
Yes.
director in the Dominican, she was looking for me. She knew that my goal was to have land before we went. So the second to last trip that I went, I just took one couple that had come from Utah, and they were only in the Dominican for 2 days. They had built a house for someone, and they saw the house, and they went to the school and saw the school. And I could tell that they were very touched by what they saw there. And they said they hoped they could help someday.
And this was sort of like the end of February 2020?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next week we took another group, and it was someone who had been there before and who had helped us with houses. His name is Wade Payne, and some of his friends that were there. And we took their group to the school. And I phoned Amaryllis to see if she wanted to go with us. And she said, no, I don't think I'll go today. I don't think I can go today. And then a few minutes later, she phoned me and said, I think I better come. So we picked her up and we headed for the school. And when we almost got to the school, about 2 blocks away, she said, let me out right here. She said that to the taxi driver.
She just said, hey, stop. I want to get out right here.
I want to get out right here.
And you're thinking that is weird.
Well, I know her well enough.
You're like,
so
okay.
She started walking in the community and asking everyone she saw, do you know of any land for sale? Do you know of any land for sale? And not with getting much luck. And then we were at the school already, and she ran over and got us and said, do you need to come and see what I found? And so she took Wade and Eric and some other people who were there with us, and we went to this building. She had met 2 of her former students. She taught math, high school math, in the evening to adults, and asked them the question. They said, the house next door is for sale. So we went to this house, and it was big. It was like a lot bigger than where she was teaching currently, and had a lot more land. And the price they were asking, you'll never believe, $76,000. That
And
was
you're
for
thinking,
the house and the land. And we were going to pay $80 for a piece of land. So all of us were saying, okay, how are we going to get this money? How are we going to get this money? And Eric said, well, you can borrow it from my line of credit and then pay me back. And so we were talking, and I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the resort, and I'm going to make a fundraising site, which I'm good at. I do it all the time.
yeah, you do it every single day.
Well, about at least once a week, I make a fundraising site. So I'm going to make a fundraising site and send it to all the people who I've taken here the last 10 weeks, to every person. But when I got back, I was so exhausted, and I'd only slept 4 hours the night before, and I thought, I just need a nap. I just need a nap for 20 minutes, and then I'll get up and make the fundraising site. But the thought came to me that I should contact Steve and Kay, who were there the week before. I just did it on Facebook Messenger. I said, we found this place. It's amazing. It's $76,000. If you know anyone that could help us, or if you could help us, it would be awesome. And I went to bed, and I fell asleep immediately. 20 minutes later, I get a call from Wade Payne, who is my friend that's there visiting, and he had gone to a baseball diamond to take things to the children there. And his friend Steve had called him and said, what do you think of the place? Because they are both builders. And Wade said, it looks good to me. And Steve said, then Kay and I will pay for the whole thing.
Wow.
And yeah, so I went for lunch then. I knew we needed a new roof on it, and we needed a wall around the building for security. And so I went for lunch at the resort. I saw some people there who had gone with me on Valentine's Day, and I told them what happened. And I said, we need to raise 15,000 more dollars to build a wall and replace the roof. And they said, we'll give you 5,000. Just like that. I only met them on that trip. I never knew
Wow.
them before that trip. And immediately they gave me $5,000. And then I wrote to someone else. Her name is Debbie Blackburn. And I wrote to her. And she had also been at the Valentine party. And I told her what happened. And she said, I'll send $10,000.
Wow.
So in one day, we raised $91,000 for the beautiful building that we've made into a school. And
Wow.
it is a beautiful building. Sheila knows. And we've done so much to help there. But also the strangest thing ever is that 5 days later, the whole world was shut down with COVID. 5 days later.
That's what I think is so beautiful about this is God knew that COVID was coming to the Dominican and the world, and he had unrealists jump out of a car and say, stop here now. And Wade Payne and Steve Clegg and all these people and Debbie and all the people that helped just felt that urgency. I feel, that we need to get this school before COVID. We need to get this place, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to change the lives of hundreds of children. And that is exactly what has happened.
And the owner was in Italy, so it was several months before we got the official paperwork. But she honored her word. Like she honored her word to us that we could buy it for that price, and we did. And since then, I don't know how much time we have left to talk.
Oh, we've
So
got lots
Sheila,
of time. We have lots of
okay,
time.
we had something amazing happen with that building since then too. So Sheila was at it. In fact, Sheila and her sister Kathy have become a very, very big part of the school, taking over the sponsorship program and helping. And we had a 10th anniversary party at the school for when Kate first started her school. And Sheila and Kathy did so much to prepare for this. But we had some missionaries visit us from our church, and they were humanitarian missionaries from Santo Domingo. So they came, about 4 hours to come to the opening of this party or the school, the celebration, not the opening, but the celebration. And they were so impressed with what they saw. And they started writing to me after this, and they said, you should make an application to the church to get some money to add on to the school. And I thought,
And this
I
was to the
know,
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day
yes,
Saints, right? Which
yes,
typically, my understanding is they don't typically do capital projects unless it's
that's
for a church building or a temple or something like that, right? Not,
that's correct. They help in so many ways.
oh, billions
But
of dollars of other humanitarian.
I had no confidence that that would even happen. So they had to ask me 3 times to apply before I started to listen. And it took a lot of work to get the blueprints done, all the estimates done, and we sent it in. It was an $80,000 estimate to add. Here we paid $76,000 for the school, and it was $80,000 to add 2 rooms. So we really did get a good deal,
Yeah.
and it was approved. And then Sheila and the group and all of us were back the next year to celebrate the addition of 2 rooms to the school, and later a playground that was donated by our friends from Denmark. And just amazing things. And the school is growing and more. Now there are about 170 children sponsored from that 50 that we had in 2019. And the school continues to grow.
Yeah,
And
it truly has been, even for me, and I haven't been through all that you've been through, but even for me to just in this one little corner of the foundation to see the miracles that have happened. I mean, God loves all of his children anywhere in the world. Some of us live in better places than others, and that is a really hard thing when you go to a country like that. I remember, Louise, the very first time I went was in June of 2019, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a third world country in that way before. And to go out to Baragouana, to this community that doesn't have running water, electricity, nothing, and skinny dogs running around. The people are cooking on, number 10 tin cans with a piece of coal, and and we're handing out food packs. And then we go back to the resort, and it's like something from Big Brother or The Bachelor, a big house with a waterfall and a pool. And I was struggling. Like, I could not, I just couldn't figure out how this could be. Like, really, Heavenly Father, how can this be? And I remember asking you, Louise, how do you make this work in your head? I can't even, I was just felt sick about it. And that's when you told me the starfish story. So tell the starfish story.
so it's a very well-known story about a little boy who was walking along the beach and picking up starfish that had washed on shore and throwing them back in to save them. And a man came along and said, "Son, you're wasting your time. There's millions of them. You can't possibly make a difference." And he bent over, picked one up, and threw it back and said, "Made a difference to that one." And so I am sure that's what I said to Sheila that day.
It
I
is.
do this,
Yep.
and I say, "Made a difference to that one." And that's all we can do. And those ones and those ones and those ones add up.
Oh,
Made a difference to one starving child, one impoverished family, one community, and one school, and it adds up.
oh, it
And
does. And
everyone can make a difference with just a little bit. Everyone can make a difference.
yeah, you're right. And that is the exact thing you told me, and that changed me. It changed my perspective because you see so much need, and you're thinking, I can't fix everybody, but you know what? The little girl that I sponsor at the school, I love her. And when we were there in February for Valentine's Day, and she came and hugged me and brought me a gift. This little girl has nothing, like not even parents. She brought me a gift. It was all I could do is not to cry because she doesn't speak English, and if I cried, she would think I was sad. She wouldn't know that I was so deeply touched. And yeah, the one that has changed everything for me. I can't fix everybody, but I can focus on the school and on the education and on these kids, and I can share that with everyone I know. And Louise, you have changed many, many lives, and it's been really beautiful to watch and to just see the hand of God all over this. I mean, like, even I remember going there. I can't remember what year it was now, but we went and we were painting a house. I think it was one of the first houses that we built in Javier, and we were just kind of repainting it. There was a lot of termite damage, and we went in and we started painting, and it was really hot out. And I think it must have been February of 2022 because Kathy and I had brought a whole bunch of cash to start the lunch program. We'd gone with Kate and bought a whole bunch of bulk food to start the lunch program, but we had a little bit of cash left, and I had it in my purse, which I don't typically carry money in my purse when I'm there. And anyway, we were all getting close to being done, but everyone was hot and tired, and there was still some of the outside upper, stuff that needed to be painted, and none of us were like, oh, what are we going to do? And Amaryllis said, well, I know someone who could come and paint, and so she got a hold of this young guy, and he quoted her X number of dollars, and I literally opened my purse, and that is the exact amount of money that I had in my purse to be able to pay this young man. And that's tiny, but I'm sorry, that is not a coincidence. God knew that we were all going to get tired and that this young man needed that money, and he jumped up and painted it way better than any of us could have done. And so, yeah, there is just the hand of God everywhere, Louise. Like you, and I know your book talks about so many of those moments. It's just fantastic.
And in my head, I'm starting to write my next book. And I'm looking for those miracles. I'm looking for the miracles to put in my next book. And I will say to people, I said to a man in Pennsylvania this week, you're going to be part of my next book. And as you know, our big current project is to build a women's shelter and a girls' orphanage in the Dominican Republic. And that has been one miracle after another, how we've put that together in the past less than 4.5 months since we started doing that. It's just amazing. And I
Yes,
just have to
maybe you
thank
can.
everyone who helps. Like, it's not me, it's me and all the people I've been able to collect that have helped to make such a huge difference. An army of people.
Oh, it has been an army, And speaking to the shelter, like you say, it's only been a few months, and maybe we've got a few minutes. Maybe talk about the gala that was held in July in Utah and how that came together in such a short time, and what the auctioneer said. Do you remember what he said? So talk
Um,
about the gala, and then you can talk about what the auctioneer said, because I think that is a beautiful testament to what happened that night.
I wish I could actually find the quote from the auctioneer because it was amazing. But
Let's see if I can find it while you're talking.
okay, you can see. What happened is we decided to do this. We decided as a board on the 29th of February. Then just early in May, I thought, I am going to Utah in July to see someone that was coming to visit from the Dominican Republic, our taxi driver. And I thought, why don't we hold a gala in Utah where we have so many supporters and raise money for the shelter? And so we did that. Like, we put together a committee. That day, there was a committee of people that had stepped up to help. So many people helped with it. So 6 weeks later, after I thought of the idea, we were holding this gala in Utah. And there were 200 people there. It was a sold out crowd. It was so beautiful. It was decorated so beautiful. But I had set a goal to raise $150,000 at that gala. And I know a lot of people thought that was a little beyond crazy. And me too, sometimes. But our total after that night was $150,030. And there's been other donations before and since. And it's just amazing to see how it's come together. Did you find the quote?
I just found it. I just
Oh,
scrolled back
awesome.
through all of the last 2 months of gala stuff, and so here's what she said. So this was Kim Hamilton, who sort of spearheaded the thing. She said, "I just got off the phone with the auctioneer. His feedback is that he's never seen support before like this, even with 400 or 500 people. It just doesn't happen. We only had 200 people. He's never seen anything like it. He was very impressed." Then he said, "Don't stop letting those people know what an impact they've made. And again, we should plan to do this again. Don't let that slide." He said he's been doing this for 25 years, and this was the biggest support and success he's ever seen. He was shocked by some 15 or so people raising their cards to donate $1,000. He said that he started to cry. He also complimented us that we put together better than any professional group he's ever worked with in such a short time. He was completely blown away. She said, "I told him it's because of Louise, and it's a collective labor of love, no paid administration, and we believe in miracles."
That's awesome. I just want to also shout out to our director in the US, that's Pearl Giles. And that was not a coincidence that we met either. And we work together 100% on all the projects we do. So we have a charity in Canada, Dominican Starfish Foundation, and a charity in the United States, Humanitarian. And we have worked together in every single thing, and it's awesome.
Yes, Len and Pearl are pretty amazing people. So, Louise, I have one last question for you. And then I'll let you sort of tell people where they can find you. But my last question for you is, why do you think it's important to recognize the hand of God in your life?
As I said before, I have a journal, and it's called my Miracle Journal, and I write in it every day. Some people say to me, like, you must be so proud. And my reply always is, I feel so humble. I feel so humble to be the hands of the Lord. And so I think that's why it's important to look for the hand of the Lord, because we can be his hands in making such a difference to people.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I 100% agree, because if he can't count on us, then a lot of people can't be touched, right? I mean, the hand of God is most often through other people. And you're just listening and marching down that path and trying to do what he asks you to do. So, and like you say, that is very humbling to think, why me? In a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Because often people will say, why me, in the bad way? Something bad's happening, why me? But in your life, it's like, why did God choose me? Because you have the gifts that you could do this. You're a professional beggar, and you can do all these things. So, Louise, thank you so much. But before we sign off here, tell people where they can find out a little bit more about the foundation. If they would like to donate, where can they find you? And that sort of thing.
We do have a website. It's DominicanStarfish.com. So people can go to that website. It's in the middle of being updated, but you'll find what you find, and there's some good ways to donate on there. You can contact me at dominicanstarfish@gmail.com, and you can buy my book on Amazon, and every penny that I make from that, I'm donating to the shelter. And so that book is called Defining Moments. You can buy it on amazon.ca or amazon.com. And you can reach out to me and see how you can help us.
Okay, that's perfect. And I also know you have a Facebook page, right?
I do.
And what is it called?
There's one that's Dominican Starfish Foundation, and just my own, that's Louise Zobell, that I post a ton of stuff on there too.
Right. And then if
Sometimes
anybody
I post more on there than I do on the other one, just because I don't want people in the Dominican to be jealous of each other, and I can.
Yeah, there is some political stuff that we have to be careful of, for sure. And if anybody wants to learn more about the school, it's called, actually the name is Youth Upliftment International. And Kate does posts a lot on Facebook, not as much on Instagram, but on Facebook she posts almost daily about what's going on at the school. And you can donate through youthupliftment.org, or you can donate through the Dominican Starfish Foundation to Kate. So either way, but yeah, so you can find her on Facebook. You can find Louise on Facebook, and Louise's book again on Amazon, Defining Moments. So thank you so much, Louise, for taking time out of your ever so busy day to come and chat with me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me, Sheila. And my mind is whirling. So someday when you need someone to be on again, I can tell you some more amazing stories.
Okay, I will probably take you up on that. Thank you. All right, so goodbye, everybody, and have a fantastic day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you have an experience where you have seen the hand of God or your higher power in your life, I want to hear about it. Please send an email to Sheila@beyondcoincidence.com. Have a great day.